Hello, fellow readers. My name is Amelia Albanese. Some of you may remember me from Easy Read when I used to do book reviews for them, video book reviews. It's been a long time, so let's hope I'm not too rusty and I can still do this a little bit. So bear with me. My first time in a very long time. I just recently finished the Harry Potter series by JK Rowling for the third time. Now, this was my first time listening to them on audiobook, and I did find them just as enjoyable, but it is a very different experience, obviously. It's not quite as different as if you were going to watch the movies versus reading the books, because a lot gets cut out in movies, obviously, and it's a slightly different variation. But I actually really enjoyed listening to them on audiobook. Nothing is left out, obviously, because I got the unabridged version. I like to read it in its originality. I don't like things changed on me too much, so I wanted to experience JK Rowling's original words. I didn't want anything cut out, and it was read by Jim Dale, who some of you may know from other audiobooks. He's very talented. I love how he takes on a character's voice and he sticks with it. So you could go chapters in and suddenly you see a character that you'd heard before, like Hagrid, for example, and you recognize him immediately because he's very good at sticking to a voice once he gets it started, and he stays in character. So I found that all very convincing. Some people are good readers, some aren't. Jim Dale obviously is a very good reader. Has to be if he's going to read for JK Rowling, right? Yeah. I would say it took me about a month and a half to get through all 7 of the books, maybe 2 months. I was able to dedicate about a little over 2 hours a day for 4 days a week. So if that gives you an idea about how long it would take you to get through a series, if you have a long commute like me, it's definitely a good way to pass the time. And I would really get so immersed in the story that I didn't even mind the commute so much. So there's another tip for you there. If you have a long commute, if you have a good book to read, it gets you through the commute so much easier. Traffic doesn't even seem like such a bad thing, because every once in a while you get to that good chapter, those good intense scenes where it's like, no, I don't want to reach my exit just yet. I have to finish this scene. So it was a lot of fun for me. Listening to JK Rowling again this time around, because like I said, I've read them myself 2 times before, and this time around I'm a bit older, so I wanted to pay closer attention to her writing style as I'm trying to improve my own writing style. And what I realized is that Rowling is such a good storyteller. She's good at crafting her plots and the way that her characters evolve, because you do see them evolve. And that is the part that I think that makes her such a good writer, that made her stories so addicting, I would say, for a young generation, and even now, because I still enjoyed them. All the characters are more real. They're realistic, because they're not stock characters, which I very much enjoyed after getting started on other books, which I'll get into later. You come to appreciate that. That's part of what makes JK Rowling's characters so realistic in such a magical world that obviously isn't real. And it's easy to appreciate that, I think, as a reader, after you've read a bunch of other books. I also noticed that the way that JK Rowling writes, she doesn't necessarily use as much description as other writers might use. She uses enough to depict a scene very clearly in your head, but it's more like she describes a scene, chooses some choice details, some choice words, and then moves on. And a lot of her scenes can move on just because of the dialogue, whether it's spoken out loud or whether it's just stuck in someone's head. But I feel that really moves the story along, and that's what makes the books classics. I mean, you read them now, they're as requirements in some English literary courses. So in college. So that should be a testament right there to how good her writing is. But I guess I don't really need to tell any of you that if you're actual fans of her, so, but we know how that goes. So I will be, that was my take on listening to audiobooks of the Harry Potter series. I still enjoyed them, and I'm glad I got to a chance to experience it this way. I will be doing more reviews in the future. I'm currently reading a book by Lauren Kate, so that will be coming next. If you want to read some, or read or watch some of my previous book reviews, you can take a look at my website on ameliama.com. Look under book reviews. You can see some of my old Vimeos. Feel free to have a laugh at those. And I have my other book reviews that are available on my Goodreads account, which are still viable. So hopefully you found this somewhat enjoyable, a little insightful, I hope. And I hope you'll join me again for my next book review. So thank you for joining me.